Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Sharon Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Officials in Texas say the site of the deadly explosion at a chemical fertilizer facility in West Texas remains volatile because of the presence of ammonium nitrate.
Officials say the area of the blast, which was densely populated in a densely populated neighborhood, now looks like a war zone.
More details to follow on the news bulletin. But before that, your headlines.
The public charge that the increase of electricity tariffs is unfair. Minister Champika Ranawaka says that he was the first to oppose this move. President says that a number of important decisions were made for the betterment of the country. And the US city of Boston under a virtual lockdown, one suspect in the marathon bombing killed while the other is still at large.
A new 10-story ward complex at the National Hospital in Colombo was declared open by President Mahinda Rajapaksa this morning.
The director of the National Hospital in Colombo, Dr. Anil Jasinger, said that the new ward complex also comprises of a new 10-bed intensive care unit. A sum of 600 million rupees has been spent on the construction of this building. The director of the hospital added that the new ward complex would increase the hospital's capacity from 3,300 beds to 3,592 beds.
The revised electricity tariffs have been subject to intense debate and discussions in social circles.
Now, yesterday we presented a breakdown of the new charges that were applicable. Tonight we are going to give you or provide to you a more detailed analysis of the electricity tariff revisions. Now, yesterday we gave you a detailed breakdown of how your electricity bill is going to change this month. Now, just to refresh your memory, under the old scheme, a house that was using 30 units would have paid 142 rupees, but under the new scheme, it would be paying 217 rupees, which means that there is an increase of 75 rupees. Now, at the same time, a household that was using 50 units would have paid 308 rupees under the old scheme, but under the new charges, it would be paying 465 rupees, which means that there is an increase of 157 rupees. Now, a household that was using 75 units would have paid 570 rupees, but now under the new scheme, it would be paying 982 rupees, and which means that there is an increase of 412 rupees. Now, a household that was using 100 units would have paid 1,247 rupees, which under the new scheme now would be paying 2,415 rupees, which means that there is an increase of 1,168 rupees, which is almost double the amount of what it would have paid. Now, how will the public be able to bear such an increase in electricity tariffs? We sought the views of the public from various parts of the island.
I saw a report on Sirsa yesterday. We currently receive an electricity bill of about 5,000 rupees. But with the new revisions, how much will it increase by? How are we to pay this?
විදුලි බිල සංශෝධනයත් සමග අපි ආව මේ නිවසට ඔවුන්ගේ විදුලි බිල සම්බන්ධව තොරතුරු දැනගන්න. දැන් ඔය මේ මාසේ විදුලි බිල
I believe this is the bill for last month. What do you think of it?
මේ විදුලි බිලේ තත්ත්වය
We have consumed 112 units according to this bill. We received a bill of 1,600 rupees and 20 cents. Through the new tariffs, we have been thrown from the frying pan into the fire. Normally, how much are you charged for electricity? You have used 105 units, isn't it? And you have been charged 1,260 rupees.
bill වැඩි කරන තරමට අපේ ආදායමක් නැහැ. අපිට මේ පඩි වැඩි කරන්න නැහැ බිල් වැඩි වෙන තරමට. එතකොට අපි ඊට කොහොමද මාරු වෙනවා ජීවත් වෙන එක ඉදිරි කාලයේදී මේ ආකාරයෙන් උද්දමනය වැඩි වුණොත්. ඒක බාහිර වැඩි.
To reduce it, we will have to live in the dark. This afternoon, they were announcing that the electricity will be disconnected if you do not pay the bill every month.
අම්පාර සමනබැද්ද ගම්මානේ චන්දර ජයසේකර මහත්තයලා ගෙදර.
We are the home of Chandana Jayasekara in Samanbedda Ampara. How do the new tariffs affect you?
ඔබට කොහොමද මේ නව විදුලි බිල් සංශෝධනය බලපාන්නේ?
ඉදිරියේදී වැස්සාරේ මේ එන්න ගත්තම අලින්ගෙන් බොහොම කරදරයි.
In the future, when the rains come, we are going to have trouble with the elephants. At that time, we have to light up the area to escape trouble with the elephants. At that time, we will use more than 90 units of electricity.
කාලේ වෙනකොට ඒකක 90 පැනලා වගේ අපිට විදුලියේ පරිභෝජනයක් යනවා. මේ සූදානම් වන්නේ අප
We are inquiring into the view of residents of Norelia regarding the new electricity tariffs.
දැනට මේ
At present, how much is your monthly electricity bill?
ඉදිරි මාසික විදුලි බිල කොච්චරක් යනවද? අපිට ඇත්තටම දැන්
At present, we consume between 80 to 90 units of electricity.
අපේ විදුලි බිල ක්‍රියාත්මක පවතින්නේ.
ඉතින් නුවරඑළිය ජීවත් වෙන මිනිස්සු විදිහට විශේෂයෙන් වියදම් කරන්න වෙන දේවල් තියෙනවා. විදුලිය වැය කරන්න ඕන දේවල් උණු වතුර ප්‍රදාන වෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ උයන පිහින දේවල් වලට නවීන ක්‍රමත් එක්ක අපි දැන් ඒවට හුරු වෙලා ඉවරයි. ඉතින් ආයි ආපස්සට යන්න තමයි වෙන්නේ.
Now, while members of the public expressed these views on the electricity tariffs, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Keheliya Ramukwella had this to say at a media briefing convened yesterday. In terms of transport, health, education, power and energy, the government provides a lot of relief. At the same time, if you take fuel in terms of kerosene, which is used by the poor, we provide relief. This relief is provided continuously. This is a welfare government, but this government is not prepared to provide relief beyond limitation, which will lead to the economy of this country collapsing and the country being transformed into one with no vision of future development. Now let's turn our attention to another notable factor in the new electricity tariffs. Now you may already be aware that your electricity bill is calculated by adding 3 charges. These are the monthly unit consumption charge, the fixed charge and the fuel adjustment charge. Now what is the fuel adjustment charge? The fuel adjustment charge was introduced during droughts to charge the consumers for increased electricity generation using fossil fuels. Now this fuel adjustment charge was introduced as a temporary measure on the 16th of February last year. Now this was how the fuel adjustment charge was imposed on your households. Now as you can see, a household using between 0 to 30 units had a fuel adjustment charge of 25% imposed on the bill. And similarly, a household using 31 to 60 units of electricity had a fuel surcharge of 35%. Similarly, a household using more than 61 units had a fuel surcharge of 40% used. Now, although the fuel adjustment charge was introduced as a temporary measure, it has been decided to continue with the charge with the new tariffs. Let's take a look at how much of your electricity bill will be made up of the fuel adjustment charge. Now, according to the new tariffs, the household using 30 units would be paying an electricity bill of 217 rupees, of which the fuel adjustment charge would be 37 rupees and 50 cents. A house using 50 units of electricity would be paying an electricity bill of 465 rupees, of which 105 rupees would be the fuel adjustment charge. Now, similarly, a house using 75 units of electricity will be paying 982 rupees as an electricity bill, of which 255 rupees would be the fuel adjustment charge. And of course, a house using 100 units of electricity would be paying 2,415 rupees, of which 600 rupees will be the fuel adjustment charge. Now, with such charges being imposed on the public, the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, the convening a media briefing today, expressed these views on the electricity tariffs.
විදුලි බල වැඩි කරමින් විදුලි බිල වැඩි කරමින් ආණ්ඩුව ගත්තු මේ තීරණයත්
There is a possibility of reversing this decision taken by the government to increase electricity tariffs if the people as a whole are prepared to show their opposition to this. If their opposition is felt, then there is a possibility of reversing this decision. Thereby, we call on the people not to bear this and not to accept this. Do not take responsibility for this. Do not pay this bill. Prepare for an immediate demonstration to call for the reduction of the electricity tariff. This government will not allow an ordinary person a grace period of even 1 day to pay the electricity bill. On the other hand, no matter how much electricity they use, government ministers only pay 2,000 rupees. I know this. It was the same for us back in the day. The losses of the CEB increase every day because they keep the lights on all night to celebrate Christmas and hold night races. I asked the government how much was spent on one night of the night races. They play cricket matches under floodlights at night, not because of any love they have for the sport, but for the progress of the other son's company, Carlton Sports Network.
Now, last year, the CEB hoped to somewhat reduce its losses through the imposition of the fuel adjustment charge. However, the loss incurred by the CEB increased from 19.3 billion rupees in 2011 to 61.2 billion rupees in 2012. At the end of the year, short-term loans obtained by the CEB and debts repayable to other institutions amounted to 137 billion rupees. Furthermore, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka reports that long-term loans obtained by the CEB amounts to 296 billion rupees. Now, just to recap on what we touched on earlier, at the end of the year, the short-term loans obtained by the CEB and debts repayable to other institutions amounted to 137 billion rupees. Furthermore, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka reports that long-term loans obtained by the CEB amounts to 296 billion rupees. Let's now take a look at some of the views that were expressed yesterday regarding the new electricity tariffs on the Satana political debate program, telecast on our sister channel Sirsa TV last night.
What we have in the country is not a public utilities commission but a government utilities commission. The public utilities commission implemented that policy of the government in more better ways than the government. It is clear that this was done in a manner that would not be felt that seriously. The government did not restrict the supply of electricity at any point. Electricity was supplied continuously. The increase in the fuel prices gravely affected the electricity board. The fact that affected us was the drought in 2011. It was in an environment where we cannot control the fuel prices in the market that we had to maintain these rates. This is not theft that is taking place. This is murder. The public is being murdered. Theft is much more better. Murder is not justifiable. The CEB has incurred a massive loss. How do they intend to cover that loss? There are two sides to this. What will happen to the cost? We should see if we can generate electricity with a very low cost. The other point is that we should increase the income. All of them have to increase the income. The tariffs were increased by 60%. The people have become afraid of this. Where on earth can you find a unit of electricity being sold at 5 rupees? This is the time where the economy of the country is moving forward. Several problems will arise when handling this economy. Various problems may arise.
Speaking exclusively to News First, the former Minister of Power and Energy, Partali Champika Ranawaka, expressed these views.